Okay, okay. So let's start now. Thank you very much, first of all, to all the colleagues at Emerald. Thank you for all the cooperation, for all the motivation, and for all the guidance in order to design this webinar and to make it a reality. And also, thank you very much for graciously introducing me. You are so kind always to introduce me. Well, today we are going to talk about a very important topic, which is about selection of scholarly journals for publications, few quality considerations. Let me please share the background of this webinar. Via social media, via emails, a lot of people, they were contacting me and they were asking me as how to select a journal, which journals are fake journals, which journals are predatory journals, which journals are top quality journals. Sometimes they ask, okay, I am starting a career in higher education. What advice would you like to give? And these questions I was receiving on a frequent basis. So I thought, why not to design a webinar for that? So this is a background for this webinar today, that a lot of questions and comments related to selection of journals. And I also have seen that sometimes authors, they mistakenly choose such a journal which is not a quality journal, which damages their reputation. So all the quality work which people do in the form of a thesis or in the form of a research paper, it goes in vain. It doesn't earn them the reputation, it doesn't help them to earn the credibility that they actually uh, are willing to have for this publication. So these were the initial thoughts, and I thought to design this webinar for a mass audience. And I'm happy that today we have a lot of people from different countries, in fact, more than 500 people from all across the world. So I'll be talking about a few very important considerations when it comes to journal selection. The agenda for today's presentation, I'll be talking about defining an academic journal. I know it is very basic, but sometimes it is very important for us to know that what a journal is meant for, what is the purpose of a journal, what is the rationale of a journal, why to have an academic journal. For example, we have magazines, we have blogs, we have social sharing platforms. Then still, why we need an academic journal? So I'm going to talk about its rationality and its purposes. Then what are the quality parameters of a journal? By quality parameters, I mean how to assess the quality of a journal. What are those considerations that I should keep in mind when I'm going to select a journal for my manuscript? Either it's a research paper, either it's a concept paper, either it's a critique. What type of journals I should select, and the quality parameters I should keep into consideration. Again, very important. I must say the heart and soul of today's talk is the identification of fake journals. And what are those cues that signal that the journal is actually fake or substandard or of low quality and will damage my reputation? So I'll be talking about these. And finally, some personal advice based on my prior experiences. Which journals should I publish? I'll be talking about two career stages. One is the early career stage, which I meant that 5 years or 7, 8, or 10 years, and then the mature career, which I am talking about that if I'm into academics for 15 years and 20 years, what should I do? So I'll be talking about these two career stages. Now, defining what is an academic journal. Journal is a French word which means that something that is recent, updated, and daily. Now, surprisingly, there is no journal in the world that is issuing a volume on a daily basis. Then why we are calling journal is something which is daily? Daily means recent. It means cutting edge research which is published on a frequent basis. No, it depends upon journal when it decides about the frequency of publication. Sometimes there are journals, they publish 12 issues a year. Sometimes there are journals, those only issue 5 issues a year. So it depends upon the journal. By the way, the journal means something which is recent, updated, and daily. An academic journal is an outlet where you can find cutting edge research in a particular field. This can be medicine, education, business and management, history, technology, and the like. But people often ask what is the difference between a magazine and a scientific journal or an academic journal. You see, the criteria is a scientific filter, the difference between the two. An academic journal is such an outlet where articles are selected after going through a scientific filter. They follow the scientific merit in order to select or reject articles instead of based on some personal relationships. Historically speaking, the first academic journal, which was Philosophical Transaction of the Royal Society, they started to publish in some 350 years ago, and the core aim was to facilitate research-based communication among stockholders. And this communication includes some articles which were conceptual articles, conceptual in nature, and only a few were the research articles. But with the passage of time, there is a rising trend that the number of conceptual articles decreased, while the number of research-based articles, which are based on some empirical data, this increased. This is a normal journal trend, which you can see from the journal websites. Now, what purposes an academic journal serves? What are those purposes? To start with, if I am an author, I will register my claim that I presented an innovative idea. Now, you might ask that how come you can say it's an innovative idea? My journal will help me out to register this claim with my colleagues. If I have published this idea with a journal, of course, my claim is registered because it has gone through the scientific merit and scientific filter that I was talking about. So journals help you in order to register your claim as an author. An acknowledgement of the author claims that claims are scientifically correct because again they have gone through a peer reviewed system, which is mostly for emerald journals. If I talk about, those peer reviews are blind peer reviews, which means that the authors and reviewers, they don't know each other, they have no contact between them, and of course the journal editors and the associate editor as well as editorial staff members, they are the bridge in between them. Third purpose that a journal serves is it provides a platform to connect authors and readers. If I'm a reader, either I belong to a public policy institution, or I am into industry, or I am a social activist, I need to read something which is scientifically correct. So I will go to the website of a journal and I will download some papers. If I am an author, on the contrary, and I need to give some scientifically proven message to an audience which spreads across managers, public policy makers, and others, I will use journals as a platform. So you can see that the journal is a platform which works as a bridge between the readers, which can be managers, public policy makers, social activists, and on the other side, the authors. It connects the two. Now, another purpose that an academic journal serves is that it provides you a systematic and permanent record for author contribution. Let's say if I published something 10 years ago, if the journal is still there, I can find that. Even if the journal is disconnected, I can still find on the website of the publisher that my paper can be appeared online. And you never know that for a discontinued journal, still your paper would be cited by authors. So journals provide systematic and permanent record of author contributions. Journals offer a platform for social networking. That's again a very important purpose of an academic journal. I can collect email address of the authors. I can understand as who is a famous author or popular one, a subject expert in a particular field. So I can write to him or her. I can find a brief CV from the Emerald articles. If you have seen the Emerald articles, at the very end, you will find after the references about the authors, you will find a paragraph or two paragraphs about an author, and their email address are also mentioned there. So by publishing in respectable journals, the journals provide offer a platform for social networking. Not only this, but sometimes journal also run few blogs. Sometimes a journal also run few webinars, few seminars few conferences to support this social networking among the peers. Another purpose is that the journal serve is post-publication evaluation that enhances authors' credibility. For example, there are a lot of awards that journals they offer to the authors, which also means that they are offering them highly cited paper award. Likewise, they offered them with the Best Reviewer Award. They offered them with the Best Paper Award for a given year. So this way, a lot of post-publication evaluation is done. Also, when your article is read and downloaded, the journals have this statistic available. So you can share this stats with your authorities and with your among your peers and among your students. It will add to your credibility as an academic. And finally, the journals are data sharing platforms. Let me clarify a difference between the two. In a magazine, you might find stuff like that, findings of a study and some implications, which can be social implications, which can be managerial implications. But in magazines, you might not be able to find the data itself, how the data was collected, and why the data was collected. What were the data collection and data analysis techniques? So journals provide you such a platform where you can actually download a paper, and in an article you can find result section and method section, which elaborates that how authors collected data, why this data was collected, how they assess the data, why we should trust on the data, and they think of these such questions when it comes to methods and result sections. So journals are data sharing platforms for scientists. As a, as a reader, you will get to know an insight as why I should trust on the data. No rationale of an academic journal. I know that a lot of people still question that either it is read by an academic community. Trust me, it is read by an academic community as well as by public policymakers, as well as by managers, as well as by historians. There is a wider audience. So you should stay positive about that. This is the first rationale of an academic journal, that it adds to intellectual capacity of individuals. Number one. Number two, another rationale, which is in addition to what I have mentioned already in this PowerPoint slide. Another rationale is that some people, they are very good when it comes to reading. They have reading habits. A few of my friends, they in my close circle, they have very good reading habits. In their libraries, within their houses, I can find a lot of books. So I usually tend to ask that why this book and why this book. Your area, let's say you are into marketing, you are into business school, why you are reading about this book and that book. So there is a global readership. There is a always a tendency among people that they will read here and there. So these two reasons rationalizes for an academic journal, that one side you are targeting to those people who are decision makers, other side you are targeting as the journal to those who are frequent readers. So they love to read about science, social sciences, history, education, technology, current affairs, global affairs, etc., etc. Other than these, what are the what is the rationality of having an academic journal? No, imagine yourself. Suppose you are an academic and you have conducted a study. Now, how would you share it among members of a scientific community? The answer could be very simple. You will tell me, okay, Kashif, we will send it to our friends via email. Okay, you can tell them, okay, I have a blog that I run. I'll post it on my blog. That's all right. I can post it on Facebook as I will post a status. All right. I use LinkedIn. I can do that. But the point is, has it been evaluated in a scientific manner? The question might be no. So if I wanted to find such a research study which has gone through some scientific filter, journal, website is such a place where I can actually find that. So for you as a researcher or you as a reader, if you wanted to share your research with a wider scientific community, there are more than 20,000 subscribers of a database, let's say, and if you publish something in a journal, that goes to them all across the world. So there is no limited boundary. But yes, there are substitutes available, that I agree. Blogs are there, social media platforms are there. But if I post a status, it has not gone, it is my own personal opinion. It has not gone past a scientific merit. Now imagine yourself, you are a manager and you need to perform some data driven decisions where you will get such an information which is scrutinized through scientific filter. Of course, the journal is a platform where you will find a lot of articles which are evaluated by using the scientific methods. Consider yourself as a university or as a potential job applicant. Now, let's say I'm a job applicant. I'm going to apply to a university. I wanted to tell them that I have published this much and I am intellectually able to teach at a university level. What is the proof that I can have? Of course, the website of a journal or the journal where I have published my article. Those will provide me some sort of credibility and some sort of evidence that I can tell to my potential university that, okay, see, I have these journals, this is their website, you can access my papers and download that. On the contrary, let's say you wanted to hire a potential candidate and you don't want to contact the candidate. This is one of the hiring strategy which is used by universities. They before contacting the individual, they want to identify some, they want to hunt some data about the author. They want to know about the author. What is the thought of an author? What is his or her scholarship? I guess journals are quite a platform where you can assess as what has been published, where has been published, was the author so consistent in publishing. So all these answers can be given by the journals. And again, I'm saying there are substitutes available. Now you have an idea which you think can reshape this world. Okay, and it can be about objects into pure sciences. It can be about issues, about social sciences, where you will publish again the credible and authentic sources journal. If you are a reader, let's suppose you are a PhD student or MPhil student or a scholar at a university, and you wanted to know how knowledge in a particular field is advancing. What are the new developments? How would you get to know that? Of course, from the journal, you will get to know that. You might have some library subscriptions, you might have some friendly subscriptions as well. So you can download papers from there, and of course you can understand as how knowledge in a particular field is advancing by going through the website of a journal. So all these reasons actually rationalize why we need an academic journal. Let me revise it because it is important. First of all, it is like that you will share to a wider scientific community, the first point. Second, if you are a manager and you need data driven, you need to make a decision which is based on some data, and you want something which is scrutinized through scientific filter, you will get to know that via journal. As a university, you will get to know people prior to contacting them for recruitment. This journal platform can offer you an opportunity to look into the consistency of an author and credibility of an author. Likewise, if I want to present an idea which really can reshape the world, the credible and authentic source is a journal. How knowledge is advanced in a particular field. If I am the PhD or MPhil student or a scholar who is studying a particular field, of course, this journal will provide me a platform to do that. Now, reading a journal for its aims and scope as well as relevance. This is very important consideration. Usually what we do I have seen this practice, when people submit articles, they don't go through the journals, their websites. But I would advise you here that please go through the website of a journal in detail. Try to understand what are the aims and scholarly scope of a journal. And then the second question is, does it relate to the study that you already conducted? Ideally, if you ask me, I should keep a journal in mind before a study is finalized. But because every country is not an advanced country where research culture, in every country there is not equality of research culture. In some countries you will find they are technologically quite advanced, but a larger mass is not that much advanced. At one side you will see that people go through a lot of research based training, lot of scholarly training, lot of writing training, lot of reflection based trainings in their schooling and higher education. But in a lot of countries, this type of training is not done. Only people are said to memorize a literature and they are being assessed for their memory. So we have to keep the realities in mind. I am talking about the mass, not the exclusiveness, not the speciality itself. So for a mass, like for all the developing world, it is important to go through the journal aims and scope and to see whatever I have drafted already as an article, does it relate to the journal where I'm going to submit it? British Food Journal as an example. I worked with them as an editor for 2 years. I was guest editor with them, not editor in chief. So I worked with them, and if you will, I will share my experience as well in the coming slides as how it was to be an editor and what role usually I need to play and how do I look at articles. Now, let's say British Food Journal. This is a glimpse of their website. It's a main page. If you go through their journal description, they are telling you something very important. For example, for over 120 years, that means the journal is high quality because they are so consistent that over the decades they have been publishing it. First. Second, they are unique, interdisciplinary, and there is a very clear cut difference we need to understand between multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary. So it's not multidisciplinary. Let's say if my work is in education and technology, connects the two. British Food Journal is not the right journal. If my work is into, let's say, banking, British Food Journal is not the right journal. But yes, if I'm into food research, British Food Journal can be the start. I should think about this journal also. Another indicator they have mentioned is this one, double blind peer review process. This also indicates quality and so many other things like publication ethics they are talking about, then they are signatory of DORA and so many other things that I'll be discussing in the coming slides. So to start with, if you just read the journal description, you will get to know what journal is about. See, they very importantly mention here, it links all sector of this dynamic industry, keeping abreast of emerging trends, topical and controversial issues, and informing and stimulating debate. So they are scholarly journal. They promote and they encourage authors to be in a debate because they are themselves in their description, they are trying to stimulate a particular debate. See their aims and scope, and I will explain the right side later. First, just let us look at the aims and scope of the journal. For example, to start with, I have highlighted consumption. This is one of the core areas they focus. Then business management and marketing. This is another area they focus. Then health, welfare, and education. This is another area, and sustainability and environment. But as I said earlier, if my focus is, let's say, sustainability and environment, and I am into let's say telecom or I am into healthcare, then please this British Food Journal is not the right outlet because the core of it is food research, consumption with respect to food, business management and marketing of food, health, welfare and education with respect to food handling, food consumption attitude, anti-consumption and things like that, and sustainability as well as environment with respect to food related behaviors and consumptions. On the other side, if you see, I say that there is a diagram, keywords of your article and aims and scope of the journal. I should connect the two. I need to have a critical look at my article. Does it, first question is it within the scope of this journal? If answer is yes, no, I need to get myself connected, my keywords with the aims and scope. Let's say if I want to publish, one of the keyword that I should use is brand equity. One of another keyword that I should use might be climatic change and food. Another keyword can be consumer choices related to food. So this is how I need to develop a congruency between the two, the aims and scope of a journal with respect to the article which I wanted to publish. So ideally speaking, I need to shift the gears of my thought towards aims and scope of a journal if I want to, in case if I want to publish with this journal. So this is why this congruency is important, and this congruency is a product of my consciousness that I need to visit the website of a journal. I need to go through their editorial aims and scope, and I need to then decide either my article is in line with the editorial scope and aims of the journal or no. If no, then I should move to another journal. Now, the character of a quality journal. I'll be talking about it, the quality parameters. But first of all, let's talk about the character. What makes it a quality journal? First of all, despite being interdisciplinary, a quality journal has a unique selling proposition. Like I said, British Food Journal, their core is food research. International Journal of Sports Marketing and Management is another example. Although they are into marketing and management, but sports marketing is their niche, is their core. Again, International Journal of Bank marketing is their core. If I have published, if I have an article which is about food research, Journal of Bank Marketing is not the right journal that I should opt for. So despite being interdisciplinary, the journal, high quality journal, has its own speciality. It has a rigorous peer review, and that takes time to complete. No, this is very important point for us to understand. And when I say for us to understand, I'm trying to address the audience, which comprises of heads of department, deans of schools, either from social sciences or pure sciences. That peer review process takes time. So when we give faculty annual targets, that okay, in 1 year you have to publish 2 articles, come on, we need to rationalize that. We need to redefine the criteria. If I'm telling them that okay, in 1 semester you have to publish 1 article, isn't it like that I'm pushing them to go for a low quality journal which will publish for money? Of course, yes. No, because a rigorous peer review means that why a rigorous peer review, why it will take time, that is a question. It will take time because good journal, a quality journal, will have senior academics, those who are busy. They might be running some in social institutions within the university, some research centers in the university. They might be collaborating with industry. They might be speaking on different forums. They might be writing. They might be teaching. And these days after COVID, they might be doing online teaching. They might be learning about online teaching atmosphere. So you see, they are doing a lot of work, and that's why they are busy. So if I wanted to have those people who are quality people, who will give their honest opinion about an article, which is not based on relation but based on scientific merit, it will take time. It might take 1 month, it might take 2 months, it might take 3 months or more, right? So a good indicator of a quality journal is that the peer review is rigorous. It's not only 2 lines or 3 sentences, or let's say only 5 issues they highlighted. No, it is about detail. It is about that they will evaluate your article starting from the title to abstract to introduction, then your literature review, methodology, again your results, your discussion, your managerial implication, your references, your overall writing quality. So they will be evaluating each and every corner of your paper. That is what I call a rigorous peer review. A journal which is transparent in sharing information with key stakeholders. For example, how many articles were received, how many major revisions were given, how many minor revisions were given, how many authors submitted their papers, of them how many actually accepted, the acceptance rate, the data files available, okay, the reviewers available, the members of the editorial board. So all this I call the transparency, and all that information sometimes is communicated via emails, and such few of information they post it on their website because they cannot post everything on the website. But I have seen some very good quality journals. They draft an email, sometimes quarterly, sometimes yearly, and they will share all these details which I mentioned with you. So transparency is there. Another quality indicator of a journal is that it is listed as well as indexed by databases that are globally recognized. And these includes Scopus, Web of Science, and all other, which I will be mentioning in the coming slides. Finally, the editorial board comprises of members, those who are active in research, and they are recognized globally for their research work. They are not the ones who are based on just a reference or a relationship with the editor. They are actual scholar. They have published on a continuous basis, and they are the ones who will give their heart out there to academia. And they are the ones who are spending a lot of time, might be publishing, might be reviewing, at the same time teaching, as I said, and attending conferences. So all that is there. Now, quality parameters of a journal, which I strongly recommend all of you, and also I'll be sharing some methods. You see, this is a website from the website of British Food Journal. I have highlighted and underlined For example, if you see this Australian Business Deans Council, so they say that they are a B category journal, which I will explain later as what is this category. And also you will find a lot of other indexing and rankings. Also you can find this Scopus site score tracker, which is updated on monthly basis. Then their impact factor, which is published by Clarivate Analytics, and the 5-year impact factor, because the journal, as I told you, is 120 years older. So they will find that, okay, since over the years they have published, and their cumulative impact factor is as 5 years impact factor. No quality parameters. You have to answer few questions. For example, the journal is listed under Web of Science classification system, which means that the journal is readily available with Web of Science. Another question is, the journal is indexed by Scopus, the journal rank. The journal is indexed in Emerging Sources Citation Index. And of course, the journal is ranked by relevant academic bodies, for example, Association of Business Schools and Australian Business Deans Council for business schools in particular, because I belong to a business school, so it's my field. And I can see that a lot of even education journals are listed there. Some sociology journals are listed there. So it's not limited to business school. You can find journals in psychology also ranked by these academic bodies. There are 3-4 criteria which I mentioned here. First is Web of Science classification system, which is the highest level of, I would say, scholarly publication. If I publish in a journal which is listed under Web of Science classification system and has been issued an impact factor, then this is the highest level of criteria. Okay. Another thing which normally a lot of developing world they follow is the Scopus rank. But Scopus also lists journals in terms of their Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 journals. You can simply visit the website, read about this is only one Google page. You can read about it, that what do we mean by Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4, the rankings of the journals. And then the journal is indexed in Emerging Sources Citation Index. This means that the journal is under observation, and based on few years of observation, it will be issued with an impact factor. And finally, the ranking. Now, few things we need to understand. Every author should not go for this Web of Science classification system to start with. Every author should not go to the lowest category of Scopus rank journals. Every author should not go to high ranked ABS and ABDC journals to start with. If you are in early career, I will advise you how to approach journals. Once you are in mature career or late career in teaching, then how to approach it. So I'll be talking about it in the coming slides. Now let's take example of these. Just have a look at it. This is the interface for Web of Science group master journal list. The website is mentioned there. Simply in the search, this is very user friendly. For your guidance, I drafted this name, Journal of Management Development, and then I searched it. You can find they have found some large number of searches, but Journal of Management Development is there. Web of Science core collection is Emerging Sources Citation Index. That also means that the journal is under observation and impact factor has not been issued yet. Category is management and economics as well as business. They have their ISS and numbers, and their publish is Emerald Group Publishing Limited, and likewise. So from Web of Science master journal list, you can find your journal. So if you wanted to check either your journal is of sufficient quality, you can simply post the name of the journal here and you will find the results if it is listed. Another criterion which I said, it is Australian Business Deans Council. If you see here, you will find B, B, A, C, A star, A, and so on. It means that different journals have different ratings. A star is the highest category, A is the second number, then it comes to B, and then C. So this is how they rank journals, the Australian Business Deans Council. See website interface also. This is Academic Journal Guide 2018. Simply go to this website. They will ask you to register with them. So as an author, as an academic, or as a student even, you can register. Tell them that you are this and just key in some basic data and they will allow you this ranking. So the latest ranking is now 2018. So again, you can find 4-star, 3-star, then 2-star. Although their ranking is 4-star, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. 1 means the lowest and 4-star means the highest. So you will find a lot of stuff there on these websites. And see if your journal, the journal where you wanted to publish, is ranked by ABDC either or by Association of Business Schools. This is Academic Journal Guide. Journal is very good. Even one uh, star is a very good journal at one level, which is a minimum, but they don't, this Academic Journal Guide, they don't rank all the journals. They select few journals which are really good journals, and then they rank on the basis of some criteria which they have mentioned on their website. Download the methodology here. So one will be registering with the website. You can download the methodology. You will find that their editorial board members, the members who reviewed all the journals, they are quite well established in their field and they are very senior fellows. This is again another example how to find a journal in Scopus. Simply go through the website and this type of interface will appear in front of you. This in the search box, type in the journal title and let's see what you will find. For example, for personal review, I typed personal review in the search box and see what I found. Just have a look at it and I will explain to you, inshallah. For example, you can find 68 index, which means it's one of the highest category journals. It's a very good journal. They have this 68 index. Then it is from the other details. It is from United Kingdom. The area is business management and accounting, organizational behavior, HR, psychology, applied psychology. Publisher name is given 1995 onwards, and how to publish, homepage, contact information. So if your journal is listed in Scopus or Academic Journal Guide, ABDC, Web of Science, it is of sufficient quality and you should proceed with the journal. Now, few elements which signal that a journal is predatory, hijacked, low quality, or substandard. What are those cues which will signal that you should not publish with this journal? The first is that website is amateurish, nonsense. I'm sorry I'm using these words, but really nonsense. I mean, you will find a person with no relevance. He will be smiling that either uh, this is a this is a business they are trying to promote, or either they are into some services sort of business. So they might give you a very nice head massage. Of course, an academic journal should look like an academic journal, not amateurish, not nonsense. And if you will, like I gave you an example of British Food Journal, the website is mature, highly professional, parsimonious, not simple, I would say, but parsimonious, looks like an academic, less glamour, and more information. But if you go to some such a website which publish a lot of images which have no relevance with the journal, this is one of the cues that will signal that journal is of poor quality or substandard. The journal is not associated with a reliable publisher. You have to check the indexing, and don't check from indexing from the journal website, please. Go to Web of Science, as I told you. Go to the Scopus website. Go to ABDC website. Go to ABS website, and then search the journal there. If journal is there, then it's all right. Otherwise, because sometimes these fake journals, what they do, they simply copy and paste an image. For example, a Scopus logo, I will copy and paste it on my website of a journal. So their website is not a reliable source at all. What you need to do is check with the publisher itself. Another indicator is that journal is not indexed by Scopus Web of Science and Emerging Sources Citation Index. Very important. Now, these fake journals, sometimes they give editorial board member names and their images, but no email address, no contact address. Sometimes very strange type of email addresses are given. I will explain to you as an example in the coming slides. So this is one another indicator that you cannot contact the staff and it is not publicly available. They only publish for money and are ready to bargain like a commodity. And I have a very funny example with you people to share. Please spend some time here. Go through this PowerPoint slide on your screen. Just spot the issues, please. Now come on, you are a scholarly journal and you will say, dear authors, congratulations. Is it the right way to write? Of course, no. Following the review of your research articles, not article, except in capital for no reason. Mail, not email. As compared to other submissions, come on, would you like to publish with such a journal, which is comparing your article with some other articles that have been submitted? Is it the way to evaluate a submission? Again, this is nonsense. And they say that this research report, this is the name of the journal, MAGNT, it is a hijacked journal. Basically, it's a zoology journal, but they say they have hijacked the website, and it's a very different side of business. They hijacked the name, and you will find this in Web of Science, but under zoology. But why they will publish in business and management? This is a strange phenomenon. They say International Society of Universal Research in Sciences, that doesn't exist. And so we charge least charges US $150 per paper. And see their email address also. This is not an institutional email address. So please be mindful. Your paper will be published shortly after payment is received to publisher. Now let me share with you an example. One of my papers was accepted with a journal I remember in February 2015. I remember because it was a high quality journal. My article appeared online after 1 year. Now, how come you can say that you will publish my article online shortly after payment is received to the publisher? Again, ISI indexed. This is cheating. And please, these words indicate that this is not at all a scholarly journal. It's not a quality journal to publish. For example, look at the review. Convert the paper in journal format. Few grammatical mistakes. Please revise language of the paper and cite few latest state of the art. What? So you can identify the problems here, but only if I read it in a mindful manner. Now see what happened. I played with them nicely. Hear this. They wrote to me another email, and I did not publish my article with them. It is just as an example with all of you. Finally, for poor countries, our fee is US $110. If you cannot pay this fee, I am afraid that publisher will not publish your paper, which means that they publish with for fee only. It is the least fee among all ISI index journals you know. See what happened. I was also playing Tinitone with them. Dear, after consulting with my co-author, we are ready to pay $80. Please accept. They say publisher is not agreed for less than $100. I'm sorry, if you want to publish, send publisher fee $100 only via PayPal to their ID and this and that. So if as an author you are mindful, you can exactly judge as what is happening over there. For example, why they are doing these mistakes. Are they really scholarly? Of course, no. So they are ready to bargain. They'll pay for fee, and if you critically read their communication, you can find that they are not professional at all. Let's move ahead. Again, continuing with that, few elements that signal that a journal is of poor quality. Yes, another technique. They'll make you narcissistic, by the way. They'll tell you that you are great. They'll tell you graciously drafted emails that thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad Kashif. We read your article, which was published with a British Food Journal, and we know you are great and you worked for British Food Journal as an editor. We would like to publish your paper. If you have, please send us. We will. I'm reading an email for you people. We will only charge $50 from you. Otherwise, we charge $250. So sometimes they will cheat on you by making you narcissistic and by telling you what you are not actually, and on a daily basis. And problem is that sometimes authors are so innocent that I have seen few of my colleagues telling to others that what happened. I said, what happened? They said, today morning I received an email from a journal. They asked me to publish with them, and they are requesting, and the author and my colleague was telling me in a gracious manner. So please don't be cheated by them. Please refrain from publishing in such a journals. The method is otherwise. I have to request the editors that if my article meets a scientific merit, please publish it. Not a quality journal editor will write to me unless until I'll become that famous as Philip Kotler in marketing is, and Robbins is, and some other stuff. Okay, so I'm not Bill Gates that some journal will request me to write on technology. Okay, so please don't be deceived by them in this manner. If they are writing to you, ignore them. Another indicator, the peer review reports are surprisingly quick. I would like to highlight that, surprisingly quick. As I said, because the mature journals and high quality journals, because they involve those people who are, you know, seasoned academics, and they are doing multiple tasks. So what they will do, they will spend time to review your paper. But on the contrary, the fake journals, because they don't send it to any reviewer and they cheat on you, they make reports themselves. It signals immaturity on part of the reviewers. I have shown you an example. Number 8, the journal title is not making any sense. No, I was really, thinking over it years and years that what is like, is there any sense of this title? International Journals of Multidimensional Research? Or does that title make sense to you? International Skills Research Journal? But my friends, if you cannot judge these mistakes, if you cannot judge this immaturity, then I'm really thinking, do you really deserve to publish in a quality journal? These are the hints that you need to critically evaluate. The journal title does not make any sense. This is another clue. The selection of referees is tricky. And my question is, why would a journal in education would like to have a professor in chemistry on its editorial board? Does it really make sense? Of course, no. Finally, the published papers are poorly formatted and you can find lot of basic grammar and typo and other related errors. So these are the 10 elements that you can identify that makes a journal doubtful and suspicious. Now, this is very interesting website. This is a library, Yale University Library website. Again, I have mentioned the web address over there. And this search is very interesting, which I did on their website. Choosing a journal for publication of an article, list of suspicious journals and publishers. And there you can find, which I am highlighting, potential, possible, or probable predatory scholarly open access publishers, potential, possible, or probable predatory scholarly open access journals, and Beale's list of suspicious journal and publishers. So you can find some data from this very useful website as well as what are the suspicious journals and why you should not publish with them. And they have some others, for example, other very important tabs, finding your journals, organizing your research, impact factor calculation, Google Scholar H5 index, what are these, and so on. So let's move ahead. Journal submissions. This is the last part of our talk today, our discussion today. Journal submission checklist. How should I save time? Often authors ask me, sir, it takes a lot of time to publish with journals. Yes, it takes time, but sometimes fault is on our side. Why? What are those mistakes that authors usually commit when it comes to journal submissions? One of them is the article is not correct in its form and it is filled with grammar and spelling errors. Let me give you an advice here. Don't submit the first copy. Please share the first copy with your maybe buddy, with your close friend. If you're lucky, your members of the family, they are with you in the same field, so they might read for you. don't give it to your boss to read, okay? It will damage the reputation if you will find lot of spelling and grammar mistakes there. It will damage your annual credential report. So I don't want you to damage your credibility anyway, either you are as an author or as an employee. So share with your colleagues, and the article should be correct in its form without grammar and spelling errors. This is first thing. The article should be good fit. Please consider reading the aims and scope of the journal so that you can exactly connect the two. Your article, its keywords, its theme with the aims and scope of the journal. Either the journal complies, the article complies publishing and ethical guidelines. This is again very important part on part of authors. They have to perform that. And in developing word, this is a real problem. Authors, they usually do not take care of that, and sometimes journal also don't ask for that. But for emerald journals, let me assure you, every time you will submit, every time they will ask that, have you sought ethical guidelines, have you sought ethical approvals if you are into this type of research. For example, if you engage humans and if the data is sensitive nature, you need to explain what type of ethical approvals were sought, and this is a very important point. Then the necessary permissions from the third party. Let's say if I'm using a graph or using some statistical data that has already been published by some others, some other databases, some other publishers, or let's say it is published on some blog or some website, I need to seek this third party permission. This is important. If I will not have permission, I will submit the article, and after let's say 2, 3, or 4 weeks, when it will go through the editorial process, it will be desk rejected, and they might ask you, sometimes they might not reject it, they might ask you to revise the paper. Article is formatted as per journal guidelines. On every journal in Emerald, we have the author guidelines and the journal guidelines, in fact you call it. So you can simply go through what type of referencing they follow, how many words a title should have, how many words the article should have, where to place table, what type of referencing they use. So all that information is posted on the journal website. And finally, the article is prepared in a manner that your identity and co-author's identity cannot be revealed. That's again very important. Here I'm not only referring to self-citations, but again there are some sentences which indicate that who is the author of this paper. So please avoid doing that. And editors or the editorial team, once they will read your paper, they will assess, initially they will assess these things. If it passes the initial screening, then it will move to the reviewer stage, and then reviewer will send some reports to editor, and editor will send back to authors. This is how the process goes on. But in order to avoid desk rejections, you need to please abide by all these principles which are mentioned on the website, on this PowerPoint. Now, how to respond to reviewers is another tricky thing, which is difficult for most of us. Pay thanks, especially when the article is rejected, especially when they have highlighted a lot of mistakes, especially when they told you that article has no future. I mean, they might not tell you directly, but sometimes the tone is too direct. Okay, so even then pay thanks to editorial boards. But if you get a chance to revise the paper, also pay thanks to the reviewers. Make changes accordingly and explain the changes made. I will share an image in the coming slides as how I used to do that. Do not directly reject the reviewer proposition. Again, a very important consideration. Let's say if I, because reviewers are my colleagues and I have this full authority to disagree with them, but disagree with some rationality, with some logic, with some reasoning. Do not directly say, no, I don't disagree. I reject your proposition. I reject your assumption. You don't know about that, what I propose. Because when we speak to each other, we are very different. But when it comes to writing, sometimes we miss the part. And journals they are sometimes helpless. They have to give you a word count of 6,000 words, 7,000 words, 8,000 words. So in between that word count, you have to present the paper. But when it comes to responding to reviewers, please do not directly reject the reviewer propositions, and exceptions do exist. Send a looking forward to work message. This is that yes, you are ready, and you also identified few mistakes after submission of the article. And thank you very much, sir, that you identified these mistakes. And we are, eager and motivated to work further. If you want more details and clarifications, we are ready to give that. This is you are looking forward to work message. And pay thanks to the editorial team, even if the article is rejected, as I previously mentioned. And you need a big heart for that, not physical heart. Of course, you need this courage in you, that you need to pay thanks to those people who spend their volunteer time, because reviewers are not paid at all. This is indirect payment that they receive. That in some other webinar I will explain how they are being paid, but not directly. Emerald does not pay, as far as my understanding is, to any reviewer. So it's a volunteer work. Because they don't charge from authors, also they don't charge any publication fee, also there are no hidden charges. So publishers such as Emerald are true blessing for you. A lot of guidelines is there. Author, they are given the feedback. Even if you can ask them a monthly basis, the editors, they will respond to you. They are very responsive, and a wide variety of journal articles are available even there. Now, moving ahead, this see just one example. I want you to spend half a minute. Just look at it. If you see it critically, this is a letter to the reviewers. This is author's response to reviewer comments. This is for one of our journals. Uh, so we have, firstly, we thanked our reviewers. That thank you very much that you provided us with this opportunity that we can rework over the paper and I can improve it. Then you see this orange color text is the questions of the reviewers, and black color text is our reply. Sometimes in the form of tables, you have to provide some definitions, some references also, and question by question you need to provide details. Sometimes you have to copy and paste the paragraphs from the article itself in order to respond to them. So please make every effort to tell the reviewers, to bring them in confidence that all their suggestions were entertained, respectfully entertained, and you made every effort to reach to a point that you are able to improve the article. Now, there are two types of, let's say, although there are so many other decisions also, but let's say if your article is rejected, what to do as an author? Please pay thanks to the editor and share that review reports were thorough, and it was a great learning experience. Let me tell you one of my experience. Once I submitted an article to Journal of Management. It was rejected in the second review, and I was so disheartened. It gave me a lot of pain that, oh my god, it got rejected. And I discussed it with my colleague from abroad, and he gave me a very good suggestion. He said that, why don't you consider it an opportunity to speak to the editor directly, draft him an email that yes, the review reports were thorough, and you got a very good opportunity to learn from the reviewer reports, and this was really a fantastic experience of submission. And of course it was, right? So even if you are rejected, please be service oriented, pay them thanks, and you need to pay them thanks because they spend a volunteer time most of the times. If you are accepted, of course you will be in a happy tune, so you need to congratulate all the co-authors and you need to pay thanks to the editors again, telling them that the review reports were thorough and you are looking forward to work. This is another thing. Once you are accepted with a journal, you tell them that you are ready to work as a reviewer for this journal. There are some journals which might not give you an opportunity even to review for them unless until you publish with them. So this is a very important point and an opportunity for you. If you are accepted with that journal, don't forget to offer them a reviewer service, because this way, while conducting some reviews, you might get a chance to be part of their editorial board member. Once you become part of editorial member, another opportunity can evolve in future, which is you can become a guest editor for that. And from guest editor, who knows that after a few guest editor uh, assignments, you might find a journal which would be ready to accept you as an editor. Now, where to publish? The final chunk of my presentation, a career ladder in higher education. But before I talk about early career research publications and mid-career research publications journey, I should discuss some realities of higher education. First of all, doctoral programs with limited coursework are resulting in limited knowledge in a subject area. No, I'm not challenging any doctoral program, please. I know that people who are running doctoral programs without coursework, they have some reasons, but imagine a developing world. People are not groomed scientifically. Are not well groomed in the scientific manners. They are not well groomed in terms of reflections, how to write reflections, how to critically review a paper, what is the subject looks like, what is the epistemology or the boundary of a subject. Let's say if I'm into marketing, I should know the boundary of my subject. What is in and what is out? What is marketing? What is not marketing? Likewise, it applies to psychology, higher education in particular, and sociology also. So the reality is that doctoral programs with limited coursework and the scholars, they have limited knowledge in a subject area. And the problem is that in such doctoral programs, only methods are taught, only statistics is taught, only softwares are taught, not the subject itself. Let's say if I'm doing a PhD in psychology, everything might be taught, like a course in philosophy, a course in statistics, a course in data analysis, a course in publishing. But come on, where is the course? Where are courses in clinical psychology and the history of psychology? And where are courses which will strengthen my base in an area which I will claim as a PhD? So this is first issue, the doctoral program. Then there is less emphasis on research, because mostly when the PhDs, they complete their degrees, they go for administrative positions. Lack of public funding is another reality. Lack of appreciation for scholarly publication, because universities, they want to strengthen their financial ability, and in that case they want faculty to run executive programs, faculty to bring money for the university. That is true in a sense, but not every faculty is can do it. It's not about capability, sometimes it's about time also. It's not about an ability and motivation, sometimes it's a provision of opportunities. Okay, so this is one another reality. Research articles are not taught by faculty members. That's a problem part also. If I'm not teaching my own articles to my research methodology students, then who will teach my articles? Then why I am publishing in journals? Why a lot of articles if I'm not sharing it with my students? Now there is a hidden question. Why I am so shy in sharing my articles? This can be a product of personality. I might be very shy in publishing my articles, but on the contrary, sometimes it also indicates that my article might not be in a relevant journal and might not be published in such a journal which is high quality and scholarly in nature. So I might, try to hide my face somewhere, that what will happen if my students will come up with some mistakes. Please remember that when you are in academia, anyway, people will critically evaluate you and your work. Anyway, even if they tell you or no, they are critically evaluating you. So please bear this a humble input from my side, that do share your published work with your students, but also be careful that you need to publish with good journals, and those good journals are mainly published by popular databases such as Emerald. So please make sure that your good articles are shared with the students in the doctoral and MPhil programs. Again, another problem is a love for scholarly adventure is shadowed by quick and irrelevant publications. And scholars, although they have their own reasons with them, few are valid reasons, but people are running after quick publications, which sometimes are irrelevant also. Now tell me, if I'm into business school and I publish my article with a journal, the core theme of the journal is forestry. Can I teach it into a PhD marketing or PhD business program? Of course, no. Because on the contrary, I have research which is published in Academy of Management, Journal of Consumer Research, and so on and so on. So please try to publish in relevant journals and avoid this quick glamour. And finally, large number of publish in substandard journals. Please, no one reads them and no one bothers them, and this is decreasing, the respect of academics in front of public policy makers, in front of industry, and in front of social groups, and in front of frequent readers that I discussed at the start of my talk. Now keep all these realities, and there are so many others, but we have limited time, so I cannot explain everything here. Please, keep all these realities in mind. Now look at my suggestions. By keeping all those realities which I discussed earlier, let's suppose I'm into early career, I'm new, what should I do? Here is the advice. Again, as I said in the webinar poster also, it is a personal reflexivity. Does not mean that it is a theory which everyone should follow, but it is just a suggestion from your peer, a humble list of humble suggestions. Please concentrate on teaching, read textbooks, understand the concept, speak to people in the industry, and also critically evaluate how concepts are applied by the people in the industry or people in the public policy or the social groups, and assist your senior colleagues who are teaching in the executive programs. It will provide you an opportunity to attend executive classes, attend doctoral classes, attend MPhil classes, and you will see that, okay, how a scholar speaks in front of a community, what type of ideas are spoken there, what type of issues are discussed there, what are the managerial issues highlighted by industrialists, what are the public policy issues highlighted by public policy makers. So please do that. Concentrate on teaching, read books, speak to people in industry, and assist senior colleagues in teaching. This is one thing. Another is, please try to attend prestigious conferences. Present your work, speak to people, and please also listen to them, not speak all the time. And request for collaborative research and writing. But please, for this request to be accepted, your presence is important, your attendance is important there, your active participation is important, your listening ability is important, and also some sort of credibility on your part. Let's say if you have published something, or you have some years of teaching experience with you, you have this once you speak to a scholar, you speak very clearly, you have understanding of the concepts of theory, then they will say, okay, no, we need to collaborate with this person. Otherwise, who will risk his or her credibility by working with someone who doesn't know anything about, or has very confused concepts? Another thing which you need to do after a few years, once you have published something, please respectfully write to journal editors and senior people in your field, ask for their advices, and offer them some collaboration opportunities. I will give an example here. Please quickly go through it. Hello, dear professor. I hope you are fine. I have been working with this university. I have this years of experience. I have published in these journals. A few days earlier, I sent you an email. Status of my article was this. The email was considered, instantly considered, and a detailed, highly motivating reply was given to me. Then I visited web page and found that you are conducting research with people from Sweden and India, and this motivated me to send you an email for a joint research. And I hope that you will provide me an opportunity to work with you, and I will remain honest. Now, there are a few questions that a senior academic will ask unconsciously. For example, if I write to a senior person, he might ask, who are you, Kashif? What have you achieved, Kashif, so far in terms of your teaching and research publications? What do you know about me? Why are you offering me for a collaboration? Why should I trust you, Kashif? Are you credible enough in terms of your manners and academic reputation? And trust me, I tried many people. I tried many people. I drafted emails to them, requested them time and time again. So this is how you get to know people, and this is how you are able to collaborate with them. And this is how a normal person spends his or her time in a developing country. That's very normal. I mean, most of you would be doing the same. But if you are not doing it, please do it, and keep these questions in mind. Then a mid-career academic, if you are, let's say your experience is now 10 years and more, and you have published already, and you have no good reputation, and people know you by your name and your work also. So please, this agenda is raise them. By that I mean set some social goals, be selfless, guide and motivate people, those who are struggling, share positive experiences, talk to them, sometimes informally. I say sometimes, not all the time. Tell them to opt for longer routes instead of going for shortcuts. This is one of your responsibility, one of your role to play. Guidance and motivation, but true guidance and motivation. Tell them their weaknesses as well. Please don't hide it. Publish with them in journals that matter for them, the most important part. Sometimes people ask me that why you don't, I mean, the next article, are you planning to publish in a high impact factor journal? Sometimes I say, yes, I'm planning for an impact factor journal. And that's where their disappointment starts. They say to themselves, oh, Kashif, I am the beginner. I cannot publish in high impact factor journal. So maybe a journal which is reasonable in scopus, maybe which is emerging sources citation index journal, maybe a journal which is new but is gaining momentum. So please publish in journals which matter to them for their self-esteem and for their careers. Another social goal can be raise their standard slowly, and raising the standard is very important aspect. Let's say they started publishing in B category journals. You can also give a route to them to a category journal, and of course leading to a star category journals. And then some personal goals: work as editorial board for journals, advice to journals, advice to people, invite call for papers, and finally, publish consistently and avoid the high impact factor trap. And I say that this is a reality for niche and glamour for a mass. If I say that I wanted to publish every of my article in Journal of Management, come on, I cannot do that. Every article in Journal of Marketing, no, I cannot. I'll bring a lot of anxiety and headache to me. Every article in Journal of Services Marketing, no, please. Every article in Higher Education Research Journal, no. So I need to critically understand my co-authors, they should be with me. My friends, they should be with me. My students, they are with me. So if I set some illogical standards, and those standards which are, of course, which I can meet, but my colleagues cannot meet, or if I am working with someone and the person with whom I am working can meet and I cannot meet, it will add to my frustration. So please try to avoid this high impact factor trap. Consistently writing is the true spirit of an academic. Write for reasonable journals, write good work which is error free, which is grammatically correct, which is authentic in nature, which is published by credible journals. And please avoid this high impact factor trap. You know, even if you name anyone, every journal is not as high as they published the previously. So you need to understand your realities, please, which era you belongs to, and which what is your academic reality, which resources you have. You know, the one bird in hand is better than two on the bush. And finally, my suggested journal. I would like to publish in a journal which is well recognized, means which is listed in prestigious databases such as Emerald, and which is listed or indexed by services such as Scopus and Web of Science. Journal which has regular readership. Over the decades, the journal is publishing. The journal which encourages authors by giving authors some rewards. And finally, which is intellectually stimulating, and the editors raise important points about methods and theory and also the practice. Thank you very much, and your questions are welcomed. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much for this amazing session, Dr. Keshav. Me personally, I learned a lot. Thank you so much. And we would like to take your questions now. I'll read the question, and Professor Kashif will be answering each of your questions. So we have lots and lots of questions and lots of thank yous for the session. I'll pick some questions. Of course, we have lots of questions, so we'll try to cover as much as we can.
Sure. Why not?
Okay, what is a viewpoint? Do we follow IMRED structure in viewpoint or not?
You see, for every we have to intelligently understand if I am into technology research and versus I am into psychology or business research. So different research streams have different criterias. So there is no answer is not no and answer is no and answer is yes as well. So sometimes you have to follow the norm of a particular scientific community, and also it depends as which journal you try to publish, either you are into technology as I said or into psychology, which database you want to publish, what is their reference code. So all these things should be kept in mind, and we should consider these facts into consideration before deciding over the style. It varies from one journal to the other.
Thank you, Dr. Kashif. Another question: what does make the strategy, the research strategy accepted in international journals, and how has the research selling point, the selling point? What is the research selling point? I think that's what they mean.
The first part, please, can you repeat the strategy part?
What makes the research strategy accepted in the international journals? And the other part is how has the research selling point?
It's very simple, like I shared that Emerald, they have journal submission checklist with them, which saves reputation as well as time of the authors. That includes the article should be correct in its form, it should be error free, no grammar and spelling errors at least. It should be a good fit. It should comply the publishing ethical as well as other approval guidelines. It should be formatted as per the journal guidelines, and also it should be prepared in a manner that it doesn't reveal the identity of an author. This is a very initial journal submission checklist that we should follow.
Thank you, Dr. Kashif. The other question was, what is the difference between scholarly and non-scholarly journals?
Scholarly journals are said to be the journals which use scientific criteria. First of all, they have scientific merit instead of relationships. Number two, they follow the blind peer review process. And number three, they publish scientific research. These are just the few points which makes a journal a scholarly journal.
Thank you so much. There is also lots of people, they were saying that they tried to publish in journals and they were asked to pay via PayPal. So I think lots of people were about to get scammed. So thank you for illustrating this. Because there's someone saying that actually he was asked to pay via PayPal the $50 you mentioned as an example.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mentioned I have so many other examples also, I have so many other examples to share, but due to limited time, this is only one example. Sometimes
yes,
they glorify you, and for no reasons they will glorify you. So my advice is, please understand yourself as who am I? Am I the one who should be glorified in this manner, or they are bullying me actually? So this is a
yes.
nice manner to, grab money from me. So sometimes they will admire me for nothing. They'll say, oh,
Yeah,
you are great. Actually, I'm not.
I like the part when you said that they make you narcissistic, so they compliment you a lot, so you don't feel the trick in it. And actually, I met one of the researchers, Dr. Kashif, who told me the same. They told me that he got so glorified in one of the journals that after he published his research with them, he did not get any citations, and he discovered that this journal is no longer publishing any other articles, and there is no issues, nothing. So no one is seeing his article. So
Oh my God.
yes. So someone else is asking that many new journals claim they are indexed by Google Scholar. Is Google Scholar an index database for scientific journal? If yes, then how is the
No,
reliability
no.
of a journal indexed only by Google Scholar?
No, no, Google Scholar is not an indexing service. Google Scholar is just a web, it's a World Wide Web. So if something I can search via Google, see, take it this way that I can find so many unauthentic journals also on Google Scholar. So does that also
Exactly.
mean that they are recognized well? Of course, no. So Google Scholar is just a World Wide Web. Being in Google Scholar does not guarantee that it's a good quality journal.
Yes, that's I was just about to say so. From your experience, do you think that only open access journals are suspected of poor peer review process or not?
I never tried many, honestly speaking, I never tried this open access journals a lot because ultimately they charge you the fee. I don't want to name because few of the journals are very good journals, so I don't want to name them. They are open access, they charge a lot of money, but they are at the same time very good quality journals. As I said, exceptions exist. But I don't want to name them here. It's impolite to name them and call them as
Of
poor
course.
journals and to put them in a list of their fake journals. And they are my very good friends and my colleagues. They have
Yeah.
already rejected my article also, so I don't want to revenge them. But
But still, I don't want to name them.
no, I don't
uh,
want to actually name them. It's
Thank you,
impolite,
Dr. Kesh.
academically impolite. You're
Yeah, thank you
welcome.
so much. That's so noble. And there is so many thank yous and many thanks for this very useful webinar. And
Thank you.
there is also the beautiful insights. What to do when a decision is rendered?
As I told you, like just be more courageous. Most of the times it will be rejected. uh, I also, because it was Monday yesterday, so I received two rejections already and one major revision. So I was doing the same yesterday. I drafted an email to the editor of the journal, which is one of the very good journals, and I wrote to him that thank you very much, sir. It was a player to submit the article, and honestly, the review reports are very thorough. When you submit with quality journals, they will reject. Even if they will desk reject, they will tell you that these are the weaker points of your article and you should do this and that. So sometimes in a nice paragraph they will tell you a trier which can improve your article. So once you are rejected, even then pay them thanks. Once you are accepted, start working. I mean, accepted means that sometimes the journals say that okay, major revision, this is a decision. So sit back, talk to your, what I do, and it's a very important question, and I want to elaborate. Let's say my article, the decision is major revision. Okay, now I have three authors with me. What I usually do, I will read the review reports time and time again, and I will request my co-authors to do the same. Read the review reports time and time again. Then at a given point, I will discuss those review reports with them, and then I will start coming up with a strategy. I will start thinking about a strategy as how to tackle it. For example, I can say, okay, I will do the analysis and results and methods part, and Mr. A, you can do the introduction literature review part. Mr. X, you can do the overall assessment of the paper part. So this is, if a major decision is rendered, I can do that. If a minor revision is there, sometimes you can favor your friends and you might do all the task, but that's not the true spirit of uh, scholarly publication. But give them some sort of work. If rejected, please write a motivational email to your co-authors also, that we are not lost somewhere. I'm not demotivated. I will write to another journal and I will keep on submitting unless until the article get accepted by some journals. So three outcomes and three different type of strategies.
Thank you, Dr. Kashif. I wanted to add something that I met at one of our recognitions for the Literati Award winners at Emerald, and I met an award winner author who published a lot internationally, and he told me that the same article that got this Literati Award was rejected by another journal and got a Literati Award by the other journal, the new one, when published. So sometimes the reasons of rejections, maybe your article is not following the same scope of the journal, not a problem of quality. And even if it's a problem of quality, they can always the notes, as you said, and work on it and enhance, and you can resubmit your paper. It's not the end of the world. Don't take it personally. It's an opportunity for you to enhance the work, as Professor Kashraf said. It's a good opportunity, and it's a learning experience. Because there is lots of questions about the same subject. I think lots of rejections came the past period. How can I raise my article standard? Could you give some suggestions?
Oh, I can. You remember the last webinar we had? It was it was like a 1 hour talk or how to improve that. Although it's not within the scope of this webinar, but because someone is asking, I would like to tell them few things. First of all, is that there should be some theoretical discussions over there. First of all, secondly, the data should be highly authentic, credible, transparent, and number three, the analysis must be rigorous. Number four, it should be well written, and number five, it should really discuss some very important current topic. These are the few suggestions that you can enhance the value of your research article. And it's a full science. It's not only 1 minute answer. It requires a lot of thought and a lot of discussion into it.
Thank you, Dr. Kashif. So we're running out of time. We'll take the final question. Another question. There is lots of thank yous. I'm actually struggling to find questions between all these thanks for this great session. There is another question. What are the main elements needed to have a manuscript published in an international journal?
Sorry, your voice was interrupted.
Like
Can you please repeat?
the main elements required, the main elements that's needed to have in a manuscript to be published in an international journal. Like the main elements that should be in any article that's required by international journals.
The main elements, of course, to start with, it should have a title. Okay. Then, of course, the abstract, the introduction, and then leading to literature review, then your research method section, then your results and discussions, managerial or social implications, your limitations and future research directions, and also this conclusion sections, and finally the references. These are the key components of an article.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kashif. And thank you so much for this amazing session. As usual, I personally enjoyed it a lot, and I can see all the attendees are sending. If you can see the many messages of thank yous and appreciation for the great content and the great session as usual. And we're always honored to have Dr. Kashif on board with us. And I personally look forward to his sessions. Thank you so much, and we're looking forward for the coming sessions and the coming month, and we'll be sending you all emails, and please follow us on our social media. I've sent you all the links. Thank you so much, Dr. Kashif, and please stay safe, stay home, and thank you so much.
Thank you too, and all the team members and all the attendees who attended this. And I can see that the number of attendees was constant at a given point, and they were not leaving the webinar. So that was so encouraging and very positive. Thank you very much for all the support.
It kept increasing. So that's always what happens with your sessions, Dr. Kashif. Thank you so much, and see you next session. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.